Air samples were taken, and the samples inside had significantly higher levels than outside for two particular molds. That would be the Aspergillus penicillium was about 7 times higher than outside, and then Cladosporum was about twice as high. In the crawl space, I took a sample of some mold off the joist, and it comes back as Aspergillus penicillium. And then I think there are other areas throughout the home, particularly in the ductwork, where this Aspergillus penicillium is growing, and that's why the levels are so high in the house. This area underneath the kitchen cabinet was also reported to have a water event. I do not think the mold growth there is significant. However, wherever we have it, it should be cleaned off and monitored that there's not enough moisture for that mold to grow back. The ductwork on the first floor has a lot of debris in it, and the metal boots are not sealed well to the floor. Reaching inside the duct and taking a picture, I see that there's an extensive amount of debris. A lot of it looks moldy. There's centipedes, spider webs, cockroaches are all dead. Inside the duct, I do not see any mold growth adhered to it, so it's possible that it may be cleaned. However, on the boots and in some of the gaps where air from the crawl space has been coming into the home, there is mold growth. You can see it here on the subfloor and the carpeting. The return ducts have dust inside them. The filter can be upgraded to a filter that is what we call an eco-smart filter, in that it removes particles as well as chemicals and odors. There is a fair amount of debris within the return duct on the first floor. This can be a problem if humidity gets high in the home. This can be an area where dust mites and mold grow. On the second floor, there has been some issues with humidity, and I think it's been coming through the HVAC system, and that's why we have mold growth on the supply registers. So every time the system comes on, it has the potential to blow some of that mold into the airstream. Here in the bathroom, where we have the recessed can lights, they are not air sealed, so there's what we call a communication between the conditioned area and the hot attic area, and this may be causing some mold growth in this shower area, as well as the additional water from the shower. So it may be that the bathroom is getting too high with moisture after a shower, and that's why we have some growth on this finished blind. All the registers should be cleaned, or maybe even better if they were discarded. Areas where there's clutter, it would be great if there was a place for everything and everything could be in its place, so that it would be easy to do a deep dust cleaning throughout the home. Typically, whenever we see mold to this extent in a home, there's a fair amount in the dust, and of course the dust is pretty much everywhere. The return ducts are elevated on the second floor, so they're not good for cleaning the air. You want to have a good filter on them so that dust doesn't get into the system. The dryer, just wanted to note that it does expel a fair amount of air, so that as it's pushing air out, air wants to sneak into the home. The dryer vent looks fine, should be cleaned once a year typically if the line is longer than 5 feet. This return duct that is panned in and has areas where it's not sealed is typically something we don't like to see, but in regards to all the things that's going on, it may be not such a good value to spend the time and money to cut into this subfloor to fix those leaks, versus this area where it is easy access to seal the leaks that are on this return in the attic. There's a lot of personal items in the attic that are collecting dust, such as pollen, fiberglass, and dead insect ectoskeletons. It does act as an insulator on the floor. And then on the supply side, some of the air ducts are damaged because of age and the exposure to high heat and ultraviolet light from the window. It does not compromise the air quality inside the duct unless it is extensively damaged. There are a number of holes from the attic into the internal walls for plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. Those holes should all be sealed, as well as the recessed can lights. There's a box that fits over these, and then the box can be sealed so you don't have that air movement. In areas where the ducts are significantly damaged due to the ultraviolet light, recommend that this duct in particular be replaced, since the insulation is falling apart and that may cause condensation to form inside the air duct, which would then facilitate mold growth. I opened up one of the distribution boxes, looked inside the ducts and the box. The box has debris in it as well as mold growth that's obviously growing there on the side. These boxes can be replaced or they can be cleaned and resurfaced. The flex duct in this picture looks good, which is a common thing we find in attics, that being mold in the distribution boxes but not in the secondary ducts unless the system has been significantly malfunctioning. This is another picture of penetrations through the floor. You can see how the insulation is discolored. That's because air is moving into those internal walls. The crawl space is an open vented crawl space, and it's performing relatively well, but there are some issues with moisture coming through the front foundation wall. This increases the amount of moisture in the crawl space, making it easier for condensation to form. And condensation is forming underneath the moisture barrier. This creates an environment that's conducive to bacterial growth and a nice hiding place for insects. Here we see some type of roots that are growing. Best to have a 100% sealed moisture barrier and one that's actually an insulation liner. This is the crawl space underneath the front stoop, and the metal decking, which is rusted, indicates that this is dripping water a fair amount of time throughout the summer, and this water is being trapped on the plastic in that area, creating a humidifier that then sends moisture into the main crawl space, and that causes the wood to increase in its moisture content, which then allows mold to grow on the wood, and then through the holes in the floor that mold is able to get into the home. Best if this mold is brushed off and the wood is treated, and then the crawl space is upgraded to a closed crawl space so that humidity can be controlled. Here on the air handler is an extensive amount of mold growth because condensation is forming on this panel. Condensation is also forming on the cover of the humidifier, and this humidifier is not airtight, so whatever's in the crawl space can sneak into the humidifier. And here we see mold growth on the inside of the humidifier, so now it has direct access to the airstream, which is then pushing it into the living areas. This can be cleaned, and the humidifier needs to be on a better maintenance schedule. Condensation seasonally is forming on the outside of some of the air ducts, and that's why there is mold growth. This mold can be wiped off, and then if the humidity is controlled, the mold will not come back. Here is the humidifier. It's a Honeywell bypass unit.
and there is excessive mold growth on the exterior as well as the interior. It's an easy cleanup. This is all non-porous. It just needs to be part of the maintenance program. The return duct on the inside has mineral deposits, but the duct liner is in good shape apart from light dust and debris. The air ducts have been sealed with mastic tape and mastic on the joints. There is signs of condensation forming on the ductwork. That's why we're getting this excessive mold growth on the ducts. And then there is sporadic mold growth on the joists, and the discoloration on the insulation as well as the rusting on the support wires indicates that seasonally it does condensate down here. So if you come down here in the summer when it's really warm and moist outside and it's running cool air, you'll find that there's moisture throughout. The reason the mold growth is not worse is because of the height of the crawl space. It helps to minimize the high humidity. The foundation vents are sealed. I'll say they're plugged. There is still light coming through. This air handler can be modified so that this could be a closed crawl space, which would be advantageous because the current moisture barrier is allowing condensation to form, and you can see all the roots, the mycelia mats and the insects that are forming underneath. And then there is mold on the air handling unit, again because of condensation.
Mold in the crawl space can be removed. We can wet wipe it off of the air ducts as well as the humidifier. And on the wood, it can be brushed, and the wood can be treated with a product that will inhibit any future mold growth. And then the insulation liner installed and all the vents actually sealed, so now you have a closed crawl space in which it's guaranteed not to form any condensation. Up here in the attic, we would add that same insulation liner that's in the crawl space to the walls, and then that will help minimize the heat from that attic that is entering the current room. Here's an example of our foil insulation on the doors and on the surfaces in the side attics.
They have a gas air handler, overflow pan with a float switch, and insulated condensation line that runs on out, and then it drops down through the interior walls. The air ducts have some UV damage. This box did not have visual mold growth in it or the ducts. There is a light layer of debris in the ducts. Furnace filter. 2 bathroom exhaust vents that should be upgraded to insulated ducts. Here's the condensation lines causing gaps and voids in the insulation. This 6-inch secondary duct is the worst one. Goes to the master bedroom. Be nice to see that replaced. But all of this exposed wood is channeling heat into the ceiling of the second floor. It would be advantageous to add 10 inches of insulation, enough so that the air ducts are covered as well as all of the plumbing. These 2 can lights should be in boxes so they can be air sealed. So essentially the attic has good ventilation from the soffits all the way up to the ridge vent. Granted, there's a lot of discoloration of the wood indicating it does or has gotten super hot. Possibly there wasn't a ridge vent before the new roof was put on. Nice 2x10s they look like. Nice solid roof. Plywood decking, that's beautiful. can handle a lot of snow load. All of the clutter is actually adding to the R value in the insulations, so that's not a bad thing. So air seal, add insulation, and clean the air ducts.